What's going on, everybody? It's Rob Costello here with Viking Creative Studios, and today we're taking a look at the 85mm Sony FE 1.8 lens. Alright, so thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to go over a new lens that I've had, and I've kind of used it quite a bit now, so I feel like I could give it a really good review, whether it was a good lens, a bad lens. There are tons of other videos on here for this lens already, so I'm not going to make it too long. I'm just going to go over some of the specifics that I like or dislike about this lens. First of all, it's a really good lens. It's really sharp. There's plenty of reviewers. If you've been looking up into this lens, you already know that it's a sharp lens. So, how does it stack up versus the G Master or the Zeiss Batis? Sony has a couple different options on the market for the 85mm focal length for portraits. And top of the food chain, you've got the G Master 85, which is about $1,800. It's a really great lens. I've actually rented out the G Master before, and yeah, I've got nothing bad to say about it. I guess if you had to pick two cons for it, it'd be the price. It's obviously pricey, and it's kind of heavy, and it's considered a big lens. So if you're using a crop body or a smaller camera, or even some of the E7s, it can add a little bit of heft to the actual camera. But it's not really too big of an issue. Below that, you have the Zeiss Batis, and that comes in about 60% of the price at $1,200. Now, the Zeiss Batis is also a really good lens. I haven't used it personally, but of the three, it looks like it'd be my least favorite. Then dropping back down in price for $600, you have this lens, the Sony FE 85 1.8. Now, this lens is obviously, I guess you can consider it a budget lens compared to the other two. It's still not super cheap at $600, but it is definitely money well spent. So, is it the best of the three? Is it the worst of the three? Personally, I think the G Master is the best one of the three. As far as if you have, money is no option, you want the cream of the crop, the G Master is going to work the best. The eye autofocus is unbelievable on that lens. But that being said, I actually think this could be the winner of all the three. Like I said, I think the Zeiss is the least favorite for me, coming at $1,200. It's $1,200 for a lens you expect to get perfection. It's not perfect. I actually like the G Master more. If you're going to spend $1,200 on a lens, you might as well just spend that little bit extra and get the G Master, and it's well worth it. But that being said, this is so much cheaper than the others. Price per dollar of spent, quality of what you're getting per dollar, this beats even the G Master. This thing is really sharp. It also has great bokeh. If you go, it's usually between 8 and 10 feet, somewhere in that sweet spot area. You can get the cool swirly background. You don't get that all the time. Some people, don't like that look, and most of the time you're not going to get it. You have to really find that exact focal distance and distance away from the model to get that swirly background, which can make your photo stand out, but if you don't like it, it's not really a problem. You get really good bokeh still. Before using this lens, I heard that it has cat eye bokeh, and I wasn't really too sure about that. I'm like, I don't really like that. I like the creamy background. I can say from using it, it actually is really good. It doesn't really give you any kind of like, oh, you used a cheap lens look. It actually looks fantastic. It works pretty good in low light. It's a 1.8. Now, there's no image stabilization in this lens, so if you're using something without in-body stabilization, you do have the shutter speed a little higher, so the low light isn't the greatest. But if you have the in-body stabilization, or you have it on a tripod, or it's during the daylight conditions, there's no problems at all with this lens. So first of all, let's take a look what the lens actually comes with. When you get it, it does come with obviously a lens cap. It comes with a hood. It also comes with a lens front cap. And then the lens itself. Now, the lens itself actually has a really nice knurled focus ring. It feels really good. It's all metal construction. I've used lenses in the past that have a rubber ring, and I don't like it as much. I like the metal feel. It feels really nice and tactile in your hand. It's also nice and durable. If cosmetics are a thing for you and you want to make sure the lens actually is nice and appealing looking, it's actually a really nice lens. It has a nice wide open aperture in the front. Being the 1.8, it's got a nice big front element, and it looks really, really nice. Being all metal construction, it feels good in the hand. There's really nothing to really complain about this lens. It's really great. It does have an autofocus and manual focus switch, and it also has a focus to hold button, which you can customize in the menus on your Sony camera. to whatever you want. If you want to switch that to eye autofocus or something else, you can do that as well. Manual focus, punch in, whatever. I haven't actually changed the custom button on that a lot because I do actually really like the manual focus on this. And I don't really use the switch on here all that much of the lens either, because I have a back button that just toggles on or off the manual autofocus, and I find in my hand when I'm holding the camera, it's just easier to hit that. So I've been doing that. But it is there if you don't have that or you don't have it set up, so you can use the buttons on the back of your camera to be a different custom setup. If I was going to reprogram the little button here that's on the side, I would probably reprogram it to either a manual focus assist to punch in, which I actually have that on a different custom button already, so I haven't done that. Or I would probably switch it to eye autofocus. Eye autofocus would also be pretty handy to have right there, but that's really it. Like I said, physical construction of it is great. It's not weather sealed, so you really can't take it out in the rain or like heavy, crazy conditions. But I've taken this actually out in some extreme fog, and it really held up really well. So the type of shoots that I've actually taken this out on, I've actually used a little bit of landscape with it. It is a long focal length for that, but I have done it with some big open fields of some trees and farmland, and it's really sharp. But where this thing really shines, obviously, is portraiture. And up close, the detail on this thing is ridiculous. As far as sharpness goes, I think at the very center, it's actually sharper than even the G Master lens. Obviously, once you go to the corners, the G Master is going to be sharper throughout, but this is such a great lens. And for $600, unless you really have no budget limit or anything like that, it's hard to recommend the G Master over this, because this thing is really comparable at that $600 mark. I would recommend this, or if you want top, then go with the G Master. I really don't recommend the Zeiss one at all. It's at that price point where, like, if you're going to spend that much money, you might as well get the G Master. But this is half the price of that, 1/3 the price of the G Master, so it's a real solid option. A lot of things I kind of use this all the time now with my portraits, so I usually bounce back and forth between this and also a 30mm. So it's something that if I need a wider shot, I use the 30, or if I need the if I want to get nice headshots or any kind of tighter shots, this thing is unbelievable. The detail that this thing picks up in skin tones and stuff like that is unbelievably, can punch right in, nice and sharp. It works great. Size wise, it fits really nice on the crop bodies. The full frames is no problem at all. It's not super heavy. It does have a little bit of heft, but nothing that's too considerate. So if you're doing a lot of traveling, or you're doing you want to carry multiple lenses, this thing is really nice. Versus the G Master is really heavy and you feel it. So this thing is really nice, and there's really no excuse not to take this lens because it's really compact. Sony did a good job offering this lens. Some of their budget lenses, that are out there for the E-mount system is kind of far and few between, but this is definitely one of them that's really good. I really can't recommend this particular lens enough. Now, it does get a little bit of flaring, nothing too crazy. It's actually pretty subtle. And the only other thing I've noticed is it does get a slight bit of purple fringe in extreme contrast situations. More I've noticed when you're shooting at like farther ranges, in like bright conditions and stuff, or a little bit further range where there's a lot of atmospheric conditions, you do get a little purple fringing, but nothing really even that bad. And of course, in Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever, you can just lens correct that and it goes away instantly. It's really very minor. It's a fantastic lens. I'm going to continue to use this. I think this has pretty much become my go-to lens for most of my portraits. Like I said, unless I'm looking environmental-wise or something like that, it's really great. Now, a lot of times when I use my 30 or 45, I'd have to get in a little bit closer and, get those nice, headshots in like that if I wanted to get really close to the subject. Now I can step back a little bit further away. This particular lens has great bokeh. The blur is really nice. It's really fast for autofocus. Now, the other thing about this I want to mention quickly was I kind of wasn't looking forward to the manual focus system in this because they say it's fly-by-wire. Now, I have used fly-by-wire, manual focus in the past, and I hate it. I like what they call mechanical focus, which is typical focus. And I don't know if there's like a secret version 2 of this lens or whatever, but this does not feel like a fly-by-wire system at all. It actually feels like a mechanical focus, And in combination with focus peaking, this is the best manual focusing lens I've ever used, ever. It's so easy to get focus. The knurled ring at the top is wide enough we can get a nice comfortable grip on it, but it's not too wide where it feels like you have to really drag the whole lens around. It's nice and smooth. And like I said, for focusing, it's just so easy to get. Like, it's hard to miss, especially when you're using like focus peaking and you can see the red is. It's very easy to control and perfectly line up where you want it to go. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic, fantastic lens. I can't recommend it enough. And that's really it. I'm not gonna go too much on it. It's like there's plenty of other videos out there. I can link a few of them down below in the description that go over it in fine exact detail. As far as DX scores and all that stuff. But this thing is really, really sharp. It's really great for portraits, and it gives you nice separation from the background. At night, the bokeh is unbelievable. It looks really, really good. For the price tag, one of the best money purchases, for value that you can actually do with Sony E-mount system. It's something that's a must-have. If you have the E-mount system and you do any kind of portrait work, it's a must-have lens. That's really it. I'm going to lock it down, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned this Friday. We should be doing a Photography Friday video, and yeah, should be great. So I'll see you guys then.